argue right now because you can take one bad game. I think you can take one bad game in stride, like at a time.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have two going at the same time, and like you actually you legitimately want to pay attention to both, but they're both so horrible that
Mm-hmm.
it's you know. And this is what happened to us tonight.
Yeah, and there's no fallback of like watching primetime
Those
shows
are your
or
choices,
yeah,
pretty much.
yeah.
You have the Yankees and the Red Sox playing a very Yankees Red Sox-esque game.
Not on ESPN, of course.
Not
This
on
is
ESPN,
scheduled. It's,
but all the same,
mm-hmm.
it's not exactly pleasant to because I mean the Yankees are throwing out pitchers that quite frankly aren't exactly difference makers.
Yeah, one comment that I saw was that there were pitchers that were basically run through the Joe Torre ringer.
Yeah. Aaron Laffey got him a couple innings. Obviously, Scott Proctor was the one who finally broke.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the Yankees had nothing to play for.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. And it showed because they were letting Austin Romine take major at bats in like the ninth inning or whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
and you know Greg Golson was hitting cleanup by the 11th inning,
Yeah.
and you have the Red Sox who are essentially playing for their very lives
They have
right now.
everything to play for.
Exactly. If they had lost, they would have been tied atop the wild card race
Mm-hmm.
with 3 games to go, and the Yankees are firing off these pitchers that they're not going to play a major role in the postseason. They're not going to they pitched Mariano for an inning,
Mm-hmm.
but keep him fresh pretty much.
Yeah.
But and then the Red Sox are getting guys like Laffey and Proctor, and there were a couple other names in there that I quite frankly can't be bothered to remember right
And
now.
I guess the Red Sox had trouble bunting runners over.
Oh yeah, they're getting guys thrown out at second on supposed sacrifice bunts. There's it was a clinic in terrible baseball. It really was.
Mm-hmm.
And there's then again their whole month has sort of been that. But quite frankly, it was how are you not winning? You're the only one trying.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean they finally did, but it took Scott Proctor, who had allowed something like 70 some base runners in 30 some innings
Yeah.
leading into this, to finally break the back. So that was terrible. And you can attest to how terrible the football game was.
Yeah, it was terrible right from the get-go. I mean, it was a close game, so the score will read that it's a 3-point victory, but Pierre Garçon was wide open. He didn't have a defender within 5 yards, 10 yards of him, and Curtis Painter couldn't hit him.
Yeah.
We miss Peyton Manning so much, and the Colts miss Peyton Manning so much because I mean they played decently on defense and also attested how the Steelers pass protection is not good and Ben Roethlisberger holding onto the ball for way too long and turnovers and just sloppy play. And for a while there, it looked like the Steelers were going to take command of the game with the fumble recovery for a touchdown, but then we had a then we had a Curtis Painter led drive to tie the game,
Yeah. I think
and I was fearing overtime for everything.
I think despite the can you hear me? I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I wasn't sure if my mic turned off
No,
because
no, no.
the light went off, but apparently it's still on. But anyway, I think the Curtis Painter, despite the fact that he did lead them on that drive that tied the game, I think the Curtis Painter overthrow was pretty much the entire game in a nutshell.
Right.
And watching Tony Dungy on the post game,
Oh, I didn't see the post game.
you should consider yourself grateful. Even Bob Costas was calling him out.
Really? What did he say?
Tony Dungy's on there talking about how poised Curtis Painter was
Oh
and
my.
how and how he showed him, once he got into his groove. And even Bob Costas just kind of looked at him funny and said, well, you do know that he, I'm paraphrasing here, but
Sure.
it was pretty much like, you do know that he was pretty much terrible for
Yeah.
for all but one drive, right? And he's like, well, yeah, but he fixed it. Shut up.
He fixed it, and then he broke apart again.
Right.
Yeah.
It was, shut up. And, of course, I know I sent this text to you at halftime. Bob Costas pontificating on Michael Vick.
Yep.
But we have been waiting all day for Sunday night, haven't we?
We'll get to that. And every game there.
Bob Costas. Bob Costas, who manages to turn the smallest of stories into some sort of, Tom Rinaldi-esque expose.
Yeah. Essay.
Yeah. It's like a sports essay, and, I'm pretty sure.
It's football. Injuries happen.
Exactly.
I mean...
And, Bob Costas could probably, take some 42-0 blowout and try to make it sound poetic.
Oh, he definitely could.
But anyway.
So, get to...
I guess we'll go through the games now that we've gotten that out of our system, because that was terrible.
I don't know what else we could really do for therapy, though.
Yeah, exactly. You just have to let it out, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it was terrible, and normally I hate Sunday night sporting events anyway, because there's one game, and they're national games, obviously, football and baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So the national games, so they usually include at least one team that you hate.
Right.
Because they're so popular and they're on TV all the frickin' time,
mm-hmm.
and they are they have like a guy like Manning or Brady that get so much hype that you're sick of seeing them or hearing about them. So that makes it bad enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the pretentious national announcers that are there to make it so much even,
Yeah.
And everything seems longer because, the commercials seem longer and the halftime seems longer
mm-hmm.
and everything. And it's kind of draining, to be quite honest with you.
The NBC
and that goes for Sunday night baseball as well as Sunday night football.
Yeah.
To an even greater extent, possibly.
Well, no, but I haven't noticed on Sunday night baseball, they start their games at 8:06, right? 7:06?
Yeah, something like that.
And that's pretty much been the standard. Sunday night football has been kind of pushing the start time.
It seems to get later and later every year.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago when Sunday night football started happening, if the late game was a blowout or just wasn't anything interesting on TV, we would go out and play a game of two-hand touch football, and we wouldn't get back into the house until like 7:30, and right then is when either kickoff is happening or you see the first offensive snap, or you see the first snap of the game. It's
and
a lot of game and a lot of Peter King and a lot of hype.
And of course my channel guide will tell you it starts at 8:20, which is no
way. No,
it doesn't.
At 8:27 at the earliest, I would say it's creeping past 8:30.
Right. And by the time it's over, it's midnight, and you're like, where did my night go?
Yeah, exactly.
We have work in the morning or school or whatnot.
Sure.
And you're like, geez,
mm-hmm.
that was, and the game sucks, and you have nothing else to turn to, then it's really bad.
Yeah,
so.
Well, the Sunday night, I mean, they can flex out of the late season matchup, so
but I mean,
they weren't able to flex.
I bet they wish they could have this one back.
Yeah,
and
Monday Night Football next week.
Oh, good. And even sometimes with the flex, I mean, it came down to the Seahawks-Rams play-in game last year.
Yeah.
I mean, we all knew it was important football, but that didn't make it good football.
No, the teams were horrible.
Yeah. And, that's...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So... Well,
but yeah, let's talk about the games. I didn't follow them as closely today.
No, I didn't follow most of them, and mainly because I don't know why. Well, I guess last week the Eagles game was late, so that's what I followed. The one game late. Some of those games, early games, kind of crept up on me. So we'll start out with that rant. Just get out of the way out of the early games. The Eagles are the one team that I know of that turns blowout supposed to be blowout wins into losses. There are teams that turn blowout wins into near wins and just squeak by wins, but they turn theirs into losses, and they weren't at all competitive or close there towards the end of the game. And there's
Seems
really
like
no reason to lose to a depleted secondary of the Giants. But Mike Vick gets hurt again.
yes. Teams that turn should be blowout wins into barely wins. I don't suppose you're talking about the San Diego Chargers by chance.
No,
But,
yeah. Well, at least the Chargers still won.
yeah, but yeah, I get your point.
Yeah.
I was, I think they had it within 14-13. They had the lead actually, didn't they?
They did have
Going
they did have the lead. They were 16-14.
Yeah, and then it all fell apart on them.
Yep, up two, and then the fourth quarter was really a whitewash, and a lot of I think a stop at the goal line, another fourth down stop, and then the Giants were just kind of going up and down the field, and they really had no answers for defense.
Did you get knocked out? Hello?
Hold on just a second.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Okay.
It's all right.
So
Continue.
no, I don't know what to say about this. There's the run defense is horrible. They were able to run the ball themselves, but then they moved away from running the football just because LaShawn McCoy got stopped on fourth down and then decided to let Mike Kafka air it out, and that was pretty disastrous. A couple of picks, including a pick on the first pass attempt.
Right, and yeah. I was watching the Lions game, which we'll get to later, but I was watching it, and they did how they do the cut-ins. They showed the highlight of Vic going down and going out.
Yeah.
And, they cut back to Dick Stockton, who was doing our game today, shall we say.
Yeah.
And
he was there.
He was there.
Not that
physically,
he was doing the game.
Not mentally, as he told us when Javid Best converted a 60-yard screen pass on 1st and 5, and Dick Stockton intrepidly informed us that it was 3rd and long. But, yes, Dick Stockton, who was physically present at the Metrodome.
Sure.
So they cut back, and how the announcers will always, they'll show the highlight, back to you guys.
Yeah, and they'll
make their little editorial comment on it.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to Dick Stockton say the Eagles were America's team coming into this season.
No, that's
shoot
right.
me. What part of America was that?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's excuse me. I mean,
divisional games are tough, and
they are.
The Giants aren't a bad team.
No.
And Eli decided to not throw picks today.
Eli showed up.
Yeah.
When Eli shows up, the Giants are dangerous. Absolutely.
Yeah. So San Francisco next week for the Eagles, and let's get to this game next because I have no idea how this game existed. You talk about a bad game. The 49ers somehow won 13-8.
A baseball score.
Yeah, that's a baseball score.
Very high-scoring baseball score, but one all the same.
Yeah, the Giants and the Reds.
Giants ain't scoring 13 runs.
5 points in the fourth quarter.
In the fourth quarter,
yeah,
yes, which leads me to believe there was a safety involved.
Yeah, there's no way you can get 5
safety.
points.
Yeah, it was 3-3 heading into the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, obviously I did not watch this game. I did not follow this game, and I thank God that I didn't. But
if you did, please identify yourselves.
Yeah,
and
speaking of sports therapy, I'm sure you need it as well.
Yes.
By all means, tell us how you've coped.
Other early games that were kind of irrelevant.
Well, are we still on the irrelevance?
Yes, the Broncos and the Titans. The Titans somehow
did they play?
They did play.
The
Broncos lost. The Titans did not lose, which means they won.
Okay.
That's pretty much all I know.
It took me a second to even find the score of that game.
So the Dolphins are 0-3.
Yeah. Chad Henne, everybody.
Yeah. Remember after the first game, everybody was so
You can't say you didn't see this coming.
No, absolutely.
Chad Henne.
Well, and he made bad decisions in that first game, but he just threw for a lot of yards, and because
As a
the
Big Ten fan, I watched Chad Henne at Michigan. I'm not surprised.
yeah. One
But
score that I didn't know about was the Texans and the Saints. I didn't know about this till
yeah, apparently they outscored a lot of teams today in the fourth quarter alone.
yes, 23-14. The Saints.
Yes,
The
with the Saints post putting up their hand. Drew Brees was Drew Brees. Matt Schaub was Matt Schaub. I suppose this shouldn't be a total surprise.
no,
Um,
but the Texans were on their way to being through.
yeah, they were. They were.
But
What
I
did
don't
they
think they
have?
have anything to worry about. I mean, the Titans.
Yeah, that division's not going to give them too many problems, I don't think.
Yeah.
As evidenced by segue Jacksonville today. Blaine Gabbert.
Okay. Well, I gotta scroll down to get that score. Now they did not.
Is that I'm not sure what order my scoreboard is going
Oh, there
in.
it
It
is. Six.
doesn't really
Oh, the Panthers
differentiate.
won.
The yes, the
Oh.
Panthers did beat the Jaguars.
Wow.
Cam
Okay.
Newton,
Yeah, Cam Newton.
savior of the universe.
Well, there was actually my fantasy opponent this week actually started Cam Newton. And, yeah, he started Cam Newton. He benched Josh Freeman, and he decided to drop his third quarterback, Eli Manning.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was pouring over the waiver wire this morning in one of my leagues, and Eli Manning was sitting there.
Yeah.
And I have Breeze and Stafford, so obviously I had no use for it. But I was like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
I have Eli in one of my leagues. I actually did bench him. I put Kevin Cobb in, and I'm regretting that.
I wouldn't fault anybody for bench.
No, but I didn't drop him.
But dropping him?
No.
That's just
he dropped him for Cam Newton, and
and that's that's silly.
yeah.
Speaking of fantasy, I told you that we had to hold Dallas Clark and Hines Ward under 20 points for me to win this week.
Did that happen?
We did succeed.
Oh, okay.
I won 163 to 151.
Oh wow.
I overcame Wes Welker and his 51 fantasy points on the opposition.
Yeah, let's get to that. I guess I saw from the You Can't Predict Football Twitter account that
it was 20-0.
Yes, it was.
And that's kind of where I tuned it out. I'm like, yeah, the Bills aren't going to come back down 20-0. That's the Patriots.
Well, yeah, and you saw the Red Sox fans, the Boston fans that were kind of taking solace in that. Right? Yeah.
But by the way, after we're done with football, I would like to say a word about the wild card race.
Oh no, okay.
I'm sorry, but I would.
No. I'm okay with you saying a word. I'm devastated right now about the 1-game lead.
Oh well, yeah, we can, yeah. But anyway, back to the Patriots.
Okay.
You don't expect the Bills. I mean, I know they were 2-0 and all, but you don't expect the Bills to come back down 20-0, even if they're at home.
4 interceptions for Brady, including the first one since 2000. And
Wes Welker, 217 yards receiving.
Yeah, I had him on my team.
I overcame him, as I just mentioned. But, yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Might have some there.
I actually started him in my fantasy league that I have Wes Welker in, too. Tony Romo was my starting quarterback, and I just didn't want to take the chance. So, and the Patriots defense is pretty bad.
Yeah. And somehow I need to figure out what the scoring is in the league because I have the Patriots defense in one of my leagues, and I got to figure out what the scoring was because I got 11 points out of them. And there was no way I should have gotten 11 points from the New England defense.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's just, and the ending field goal, they almost got a touchdown out of it. It was overruled, I believe, and then they just ran it down and kicked the field goal.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I was following it on the radio where instead of going in for the touchdown, and pretty much any time you don't want to put the football in Tom Brady's hands. So, I guess they ran it down. I guess they even took knees, and decided to kick the field goal.
Well, I mean, it worked out. They were close enough, so and good for Buffalo. So, I know that a lot of people hate the Patriots, but hey, good for Buffalo.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, what other early game is there?
I think we're about through the early games.
Okay.
Oh no, yeah. So we go to late games.
I think we're there. No. We got the Lions.
I'm saving them for last.
Okay,
I'm saving the Lions because I don't know. I have to admit I was wrong on that one.
Oh yeah. You were gonna talk about that a little.
We're saving the Lions, but let's go to late games.
Yeah.
And the Jets.
Oh yeah.
I have to laugh about Not the Jets. Anyone who regularly listens to this knows how I feel about the New York Jets. So, Mark Sanchez, the very misleading 369 yards he threw for.
Oh, he looked awful. And
Yeah.
he was taking all kinds of hits.
And it's Mark Sanchez is interesting to watch because it feels like, he's going to be good, right? And then, it's really hard to,
I think he'll be good. His pass protection I guess failed him today.
I guess. I mean, I wasn't watching. I was watching.
Really turn their defensive line upfield.
And the Raiders were pretty much, the Jets defense, Cromartie was apparently having a game to forget.
Yeah, Cromartie.
Not to mention the fumble on the kickoff return, but
Darren McFadden had I guess the most had a career high for yards, which it seems like we've said that a few times.
Yeah, 171. But I mean the Jets just didn't, and they've got a big stretch of games coming up.
They play the Ravens next.
They play Baltimore next week, and they didn't look all that good. So that's going to be interesting to see how they come up next week. Yeah. Against a good team. The Raiders aren't a good team, but because they're apparently proving that they are. But
yeah, I mean they had the loss to Buffalo last week, but I guess Buffalo's a good team.
I guess Buffalo's a good team too. Everything's upside down, if you know.
Burn up your Super Bowl tickets.
That's right. Those Lions, baby.
The Ravens and Rams.
Ravens ran a train on St. Louis.
Yeah. I have nothing to say, pretty much.
I have nothing to say. I watched Green Bay in Chicago.
Oh, okay. The Joe Buck game of the week.
That was the Joe Buck game of the week. Chicago just looked. They were always sort of in it, but it never really felt like they were in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Score-wise, they were only like mostly 10 points behind.
They ran some sort of kickback or punt.
Yeah, I missed. There was a holding call on the play that negated it.
Oh, okay.
At the end, if we're talking about the same play, which I believe we are.
I was just glancing over at the game. I didn't.
They ran it back for a touchdown, but they called it back due to holding. And that was really the story of the day. There was a lot of stupid penalties. There was, Jay Cutler being Jay Cutler.
I was just about to say that. Jay Cutler, as if he never left.
And the Mike Martz offense, if we can, the Bears rushing leader today was Jay Cutler on 3 carries for 11 yards. So, Martz has him throwing.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't working. And the Bears defense didn't look, it looked like Aaron Rodgers could do whatever he wanted through the air.
I think I read.
And, even Ryan Grant had his little resurgence, 92 yards. So, the Bears look fairly flawed at this juncture. I mean, it's not like they got blown out. They were in it, but it wasn't like, it never really felt like they were going to come back.
But they did beat those Falcons in week 1. Hey, how about those overrated, regressing Falcons?
I didn't see the Falcons Bucks game.
They were down 13-3.
Down 16-3, actually.
Yeah, 16-3. Yeah. Falcons scored 10 points in the fourth quarter.
Falcons scored 10 in the fourth quarter, but they got beat. Matty Ice. Michael Turner, who was also on my opponent's fantasy team, putting up a big 20-yard showing.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah, they should be 0-3, but they're not.
We have to talk about Arizona and Seattle because I have nothing to say about that.
Oh, we do.
Sidney Rice.
Other than that, my Arizona pick to win the division is, well, I guess I'm not out of it because...
No, because it's the NFC West, so no, you're not out of it.
The Cardinals have 1 win, the Rams have no wins, and the Niners are actually in the lead with 2 wins.
Woohoo.
Yeah, and an overtime loss, which is, of course, half a win.
So that leaves us to the Chargers, who were the team that...
Yeah,
should be blowing people out, but isn't.
Never really wanted to wake up. I'm not sure exactly what happened there.
Yeah, it was the Chiefs, and we've all talked about how bad the Chiefs are on here.
Their offense was terrible in the first half, but
Matt Castle only threw for 176.
Yeah, and they were driving. I don't know if you saw this, but they were driving to kick a game-tying field goal to send the game into overtime, and Matt Castle threw an interception on that drive.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And I guess their kicker.
But yeah, yeah, there were some kicker fails today too.
Yeah.
I didn't see. I did. You know, we saw Swisham in the night game.
Yeah, I know Janikowski missed a kick.
Yeah.
The Eagles kicked too many field goals. They couldn't punch it in,
Yeah.
which is, I guess, good for my fantasy team. If I win
think
by
it-
that much, that'll be. If I win by that margin, then I'll feel a little better about not being able
Yes.
to punch it in.
So that takes us back to the Metro Dump.
Yes.
I will start this with my apology
Mm-hmm.
in that I do owe the franchise and the fan base that is more optimistic than I
Mm-hmm.
a deep, grave, and heartfelt, sincere apology.
You also owe Brad Penny an apology.
No, we'll get to him later. um, I owe Brad Penny nothing. Um, at 20-0, and you can obviously
Mm-hmm.
attest to this through our private conversations.
Yes.
It was 20-0 at halftime, and I was like, okay, 13-0. This is
Mm-hmm.
manageable, blood. And then they gave up the 68-yard kick return right before the half, and the Vikings turned in a touchdown, and that was like, okay, this is embarrassing. This is pathetic. It's the same old Lions.
Mm-hmm.
And I owe the world an apology.
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong. I was misguided.
Why were you misguided? What misguided you? Yeah, you
Well,
did say same old Lions.
I said same old Lions in both in public and private.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, the faith trap that I had fallen into
Mm-hmm.
after the first 2 weeks, and I was cursing myself for falling into it. I said, why did I do this?
Mm-hmm.
It's still the same, a game on the road that you thought they would win, and they're not even playing competitive, and blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
I was wrong. I owe the world an apology because this is not the same old Lions. And even if they lose, even if they fall behind like 40-0 next week, I will, I have learned my lesson.
Mm-hmm.
It is a lesson hard learned, and it is one that I probably had coming to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but obviously they came back from behind 20-0 at half to win at the Metrodome, where they had not won since 1997.
Yeah, they went in where they weren't favored since 1982, I think is what I read, the year that Metrodome opened.
Yeah, and they did it without basically any rushing attack,
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't there today. Best only had 14 yards on the ground. They managed to bottle up Adrian Peterson in the second half. I mean, the Vikings offense as a whole just died in the second half.
Oh, you don't say with McNabb.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Let's not take anything away from the Lions, but I have no doubt that the Vikings definitely aided the ability to make that comeback.
Mm-hmm.
And Jason Hansen still has it at the age of 70.
Mm-hmm.
Kicking 50-yard field goals to tie the game and putting the winner through. I don't know if you've seen Calvin Johnson's catch in overtime yet.
No, I did not.
Oh, you got to see that then,
Uh,
because it was very impressive.
Let me see if I can play that.
Yeah, let me see if you can pull this up, because I would like to.
I'm just going on the NFL Lions.
You should have it. It was a rather key play.
Yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't even set up. I mean,
no, 92. Calvin Johnson, 100-yard receiving, job at best. Stafford, in the fourth quarter. No, I don't see it. Oh, in the fifth quarter.
It was in the fifth quarter.
The fifth quarter, NFL.com says. Oh, they had the McDonald's commercial on. Well, I'm going to close that. Okay, I thought I was going to go through the speakers, so, okay.
I hear nothing, so you're good.
Oh, you didn't hear anything?
I heard nothing.
Oh, I'm probably...
Aside from your voice.
No, it probably went through. The annoying McDonald's commercials.
Oh.
NFL.
You hear Dick Stockton dramatically.
Oh. Okay, so...
Raise his voice. It's on YouTube if that doesn't work.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It is. I just looked. If you search for Calvin Johnson, sort the results by most recent.
Calvin Johnson, catch, Vikings.
Upload date.
Calvin...
If all else fails.
Oh, Calvin Johnson game-winning catch?
I have one called Matthew Stafford to Calvin Johnson LT, and it works perfectly. And it looks like it's in high def.
Matthew Stafford. Calvin Johnson, OT.
I can give you the upload name if you need it.
Does it start with an O?
Yes.
Okay.
And with a 67?
Yes.
You got it.
I got it. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I I didn't even, I wasn't even commenting on the catch. I was commenting on the on avoiding the rush.
The replays really do it justice, too, I think. In that you watch him and it's just sort of looking up.
Yes, tracking a fly ball off the roof there.
Yeah. And barely holding on.
Ugh.
That's talent.
Yeah.
It's just stupid talent.
Why he was being single covered, I'm not sure.
I don't know. I mean, the Vikings were,
And Jason.
And I will say this about John Lynch. He was calling for the Lions to go to Johnson because he saw it.
Yeah.
He saw the single coverage.
How are you, if you're in single coverage?
You got to go to and his point was, if you get a chance to throw it to your best player in single coverage, you throw it to your best player in single coverage.
There's a pretty snarky remark about about Larry Fitzgerald's touchdown catch against the Seahawks, and Doug Farrar said it said, yeah, I don't know what the problem was with Larry Fitzgerald's touchdown catch. He was only being double covered.
Yeah. So yeah, that's they proved me wrong, and I'm glad that they proved me wrong. But they did very much prove me wrong.
Do they play the Packers next week?
They play at the Lions next week. Are the Joe Buck game of the week at Jerry World.
Oh, they are the Joe Buck game of the week. Wow.
And woohoo. I will probably be able to watch that because the ALDS schedule, I believe, gives the Tigers an off day on Sunday.
Okay, so, are both ALDS games on Friday?
Okay, I'm going to have to look this up. I've looked this up before, but I really should memorize it by now.
I don't think they'd scheduled at the same time.
It should be in my history. They did last year.
Oh, they did?
They did.
Well, no, I'm talking about for the same market. I mean, the Tigers were in it last year. I'm talking about...
Yeah, good point. I don't know how they would schedule it. Let's see. ALDS. Yeah, both ALDS are off on Sunday.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
I figured as much. I figured.
The National League gets the Sunday football competition.
Oh. Yeah, we'll get to see that has Diamondbacks written all over it.
Yeah, I would like to follow up after we're done with this. I have to follow up on our conversation last week about the announcer pairings too.
Oh, okay.
Because I looked into that a little bit after we got off. But anyway, yeah, I've been proven wrong. I stand before you. Wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Idiot, idiocy, etc. Blah blah blah.
I mean, it could just be the Vikings pulling a Twins bullpen too.
It could, yeah. It could. I was gonna tweet that today. I wish I had the Vikings brought the Twins bullpen into the second half to close it out.
Yeah.
But and I still hate the Metrodome, so this was it was a rather enjoyable win, all told.
Yeah, not winning there since '97. That's a long time.